We are going to be making this little pocket watch holder bookend. So let's get started. So I'm cutting down some poplar that I had previously planed down for a different project, and I cut it into 4-inch pieces, and now I'm ripping this one into 3-inch in width. And I just get out my marking gauge, set it for the depth, and then mark both of these. I just score the ends there. I'm going to just secure these together using a box joint. So I'm measuring these at 1/2 inch width, and I'm going to mark them out, and I'm going to score those also vertically. Not sure that I really needed to do this, score each one, but I did. And like I said, probably unnecessary, but I did it anyway. So I still don't have a dado insert for my table saw, so what I am doing right now is I'm just using my homemade router table and the box joint jig here and a 1/2 inch router bit, and I'm just, like I said, just making my joints there. A little tear out, but I think that was tore out at my score mark, so I didn't have any issues there. Now I'm just measuring for the center piece here. That's that 4x4 I cut out, and I'm going to cut down, but I'm just putting those in, marking the middle here. And same thing, I'm just going to take my little blade and score each of those ends to make sure, I don't want to have any more tear out or anything, so I think this one helped. So you see I'm using a 3/4 inch router bit, and the width, because I didn't plane it down again, if I did this again I would plane it down to 3/4 inch, so I could just do one router bit run through on here, but I have it a little bit wider, so I did 2 passes with each the top or the side, I guess, and the bottom. A little awkward autofocus. And because of the round end there, I'm doing a little chiseling to just clear out the ends there. And I'm going to emphasize here the importance of having some nice sharp chisels, because this made it super easy to clean those out. I was able to get this cleaned up really quickly and easily and painlessly. Didn't cut my finger at all. Extra little clean out here, make sure everything fits nice and snug. And I'll do a final fit, and then I can start my marking. I'm just marking the top and the end there. Use my, is this compass? Protractor? I can never remember them. So I just did an arc from the end line, but I didn't like the way that looked. So now I'm going to mark for a little bit further out. I'm doing a 1-inch by 1-inch from that corner there, and then that's where I'm going to start my arc from there. See, I'm going to go ahead and do my arc from that point there, and I did like the way that this looked, so I'm just going to set it in place, make sure that that's going to have my pocket watch all nice and centered in there, so I approved of that. And I have a jig or a template, I guess, made for a previous project that's going to cut a 2-inch diameter hole, but because the D-shaped base of my router, it's I have to use I had to make for that previous project a new little base for that. So you'll see now I'm just doing, I think I did a 1/2-inch depth, maybe not quite 7/16, I think, deep, and just use my template here to cut my 2-inch diameter inlay. And I wanted to make sure that I did use the router before I cut this down, just to make it a little easier. So kind of a bad camera angle. I apologize for that. But yeah, basically what I'm doing is I'm just cutting the majority of the stock down from the markings that I made, just to make that round end for that the middle piece there. And back down to the basement, I'm just going to sand, make a nice smooth curve on this piece here. And I'm going to also do a round over on the top and the bottom, or the edge. I don't know. Do you want to call it a top, bottom? I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. I'm just doing a round over on both of those. And I'm just going to measure for the top to, yeah, just measure a little piece there. I could do this a few ways. I think I could just probably, if I do this again, I might take a smaller router bit and just put it in from there beforehand. But I'm using a little Dremel tool, not a brand name, but using a little Dremel tool to clean that out and make sure that once I get that looking nice and neat the way I want it, I'm just going to kind of do a little clean up here. You'll see I'm going to change out the tip here to a finer grit paper, or a finer grit Dremel tool. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just kind of doing the same thing, just going around the edges, making it nice and smooth. And then I'm also cleaning out the inside a little bit, making that a little easier to, or a little smoother. Then everything here, I'm doing a 110 grit sanding on, and then because I'm going to be using a wood or a water-based finish and stain, or stain and finish, I'm pre-soaking it to raise all the grain between the 110 and the 220. So here I'm just doing a 110, making sure everything's nice and smooth, and then you'll see here I switch over, and I'm actually going to use a sanding pad here. I've got a 220 grit sanding pad, and I like those as opposed to paper, just because it makes it a little easier to get the end or the edges without disrupting the shape too much or at all. Once I approve of that, I'm just doing, like I said, I'm doing my water-based espresso finish. I've used this before on previous projects, and I'm using it again because it's matching my decor. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I didn't tape anything off here because I'm not too concerned it's not going to be under any weight or anything or any stress, so I'm not concerned about making everything, any overlap of the stain or anything. So I like these foam brushes on projects like this. You could use the blue shop towels or something like that. I'm just using that foam brush because I like it. It worked. And once this first coat dried, I flipped it over and then did the rest of it. I just didn't show it on the video. And doing my glue up here, I'm using some, is that Type on 2? I think it is 3, whichever one, I don't know. Whichever one the green one is. See, I kind of gave up on the individual dabs on there, so I just went ahead and just poured some onto the parchment paper. I don't know why I didn't do this to begin with. I'm just going to set these up together. Made it easier to kind of do it more flat than trying to do it vertically, so just kind of set those up like that, doing my wood glue there, and then make sure you get everything nice and coated. I might get some pushback for it, but I didn't clamp this down at all because of how snug those joints were, I just glued it up and I set it together and a little cleanup. But yeah, I didn't use any clamping pressure and it seemed to work just fine. My wood or water-based satin finish, again, I'm going to put a link to these in the description below just for what I used. I'll put all the tools and stuff in there too, so that way anybody can, if you like what I'm using, and it's going to be easier for you to find what I'm using instead of having to ask or having to look it up or whatever. So and then I just got a small little brush for that insert, whatever you want to call it, and just a little pin in there to hold my pocket watch, and some little rubber feet, whatever you want to call it, so they don't slide around, so it doesn't slide around. So there it is, a little pocket watch holder bookend. I like it, which is good because it's going on my desk. So thank you for watching me. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for watching me do the video. If you like it, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated on any other videos that we do. And thank you for watching.